Alright, welcome back to the Shardbreaker podcast. I am Midnight, the host, and I am here with Darkness
Hello.
and Mythic.
I am the real host.
And this is episode 2 of Arcanum Unbounded. We are finishing off The Emperor's Soul, and then we are reading The Hope of Elantris. After that, that finishes off the Cellish system for this book.
Wait, we're in the cell games?
The Cellish system.
Yeah, cell games.
No. Alright. So, let's go straight into it. Day 76. Shai thinks that she could go today as the Bloodsealer cuts her arm. She had realized that the Bloodsealer was getting letters and was woken up each morning on the days he was on time by receiving them. She casually asks him about the woman from his home country, and he angrily hisses to leave her alone. Shai realizes that he is much younger than she had initially thought, as he calls her forging trickery in magic, to which she replies that he is the one who sends skeletal creatures after people. The Bloodsealer throws his hands up in the air before stamping the door and leaving. Shai thinks that she needs to drop her fake letter now, but she hesitates as she thinks about how the Emperor's Soul isn't finished yet, and then loses her chance at dropping the fake letter. Shai wants to finish the Emperor's Soul, but also knows that as she draws closer to the deadline, it is more likely that the other forger will be able to finish her work based on her notes that Frava keeps taking to inspect. Although the more she worked, the more she realized how impossible the task was. But she still longed to complete it. She goes through the Emperor's journal, reading his early years, before becoming frustrated that she is starting to become fond of the Emperor due to reading about him so much. So what do you think about Shai's need to complete this almost impossible task, and that keeping her from potentially escaping?
Perfectionist.
I mean, I figured it would work out, Loki. Like, she seemed determined enough.
Mm.
I didn't expect it to go as smoothly as it did, though. Like, I expected, like, her to get caught, like, the whole plan to just, like, derail.
She only had 100 days, so I don't know.
So we then skip forward 6 hours to Shai placing a stamp on the wall as Gaotona and Zu come into the room. A beautiful mural overtakes the wall, and Shai notes that there are actually 3
Beautiful
stamps.
what?
Mural.
Oh, okay. I heard moral. I'm like,
No,
why?
mural.
Walls don't have morals, sorry.
I mean, maybe
Well,
they do.
I was gonna say, didn't she say, like...
No, has no morals.
But yeah, she knows that there are actually 3 stamps that went into this forgery. Gaotona asks how she did it, and she explains that there had been a sick painter that had stayed in the room above for a time, and she had made it so that he had stayed in this room instead, and had painted the wall to pass the time of his sickness. Gaotona insists that this is too improbable to have worked, but Shai asks if Gaotona was the wall, would he rather be dull or beautiful, insisting that the wall has feelings and wants. Gaotona also briefly says that Shai's people are the same as the Jindo, but Shai corrects him that they are distantly related and not the same people. Gaotona then glances around at all the parts of the room that Shai has forged and improved, and notes that she likely has the nicest room in the palace, even nicer than the Emperor's, even though he has the biggest room in the palace. He then glances down at the stamps on the new mural and notes that she had put into it how the painting should look. Shai replies that it's important to have a level of technical skill in what you are forging in order to make a realistic forgery. Gaotona says she could have painted the mural herself if she had asked for paints. Shai insists that she is a forger, although Gaotona says...
They would have given her paints?
Yeah. Although Gaotona says that just as the wall desires to be beautiful, she could desire to be a great painter. What do you think about Shai choosing to make the mural using forgery instead of painting it herself?
Well, it makes sense
Yeah,
considering that she considers, like, the forgery her, like, own art, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but, like, still, isn't she like a prisoner? They would give her paints? Like,
I mean,
what?
they give her soul stamps, which are way more dangerous.
Yeah, I was gonna say, she has,
But
like,
that's
a bunch
because
of
they
shit in her
need something.
things.
But that's because they need something from her.
I mean, Gaotona
Like-
says he would have given her the paints.
Yeah, but I mean, what logical person would have been like, yeah, it'll give me paint? Like, oh, they're gonna look at you and be like, what? You're here for a job. Do your damn job.
Yeah.
That's true, they did give her, like, a bunch of fucking, like, freedom to just, like, modify her fucking cell or whatever, her room.
Well, I don't know if they gave her technically the freedom to do it. She kind of just, like, looked
Well,
like she
they
was
let
probably
her.
working, and then she stamped the object, and they're like, well, it's done now.
Well, they technically let her, like, you know? It's not like they didn't have guards the whole fucking time.
Yeah, but she's supposed to be working on the stamp the whole time.
Yeah, they don't know
Yeah.
what she's
She's been
working
working
on.
Yeah, she's been working on a stamp, and then she stamps a wall. You know.
I fucking love the idea of just going around stamping people in the forehead.
So Shai gets angry, slamming her stamp down on the table, and Gaotona notes that she has temper issues like the Emperor. Shai knows that Gaotona has gotten good at reading stamps, and he brings out her essence mark box, which does not have the stamps in it, and mentions he's been studying her essence marks to learn more about forgery. Mentions one of her stamps would make her into a warrior. He also notes that one makes her a good survivalist, and then another for making her a scholar, which she explains lets her know lots of languages and about cultures and science and math and politics. Another makes her a beggar, and Shai does not explain how it lets her understand the ways of the underworld along with changing her appearance drastically. So what do you think of these first 4 essence marks?
At that point, I was wondering, like, they say she changed her thing already, right? Once.
She's changed her soul before.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the original?
We don't know. She could be currently the original, because she might have done the thing where, like, she stamps herself and then takes off the stamp later, like she does later in this.
Yeah, but like, would she even know if she's the original right now? If that was her plan, you know what I mean?
She probably would,
That's
because
the
she'd have to
clone
keep
pandemic.
stamping herself. She wasn't.
That's the
I'm sure
clone.
you can make yourself forget, like,
But if she
You
was
know, but
stamping
it-
herself each
the
day
one-
and she made sure to keep the stamp information, like the forgery information, she would realize. I'm sorry,
You
I keep
think
cutting you
so?
off, Mythic. I feel bad.
Cause I thought
Yeah,
that
the one. She was like, she made it a thing where she could, it would like subconsciously she would have
Yeah.
to want to continue to put another one on every time,
I mean, she could, but
but she
also,
wouldn't remember
like,
any of it.
just like how I think later the Emperor kind of realizes, like, oh, there must have been something wrong with my mind, not my body. I feel like she's smart enough that she would probably eventually realize.
I guess. But even so, like, she could just not be mentioning the fact that, like, that's not her true self.
The also question is, I'm pretty sure, like, because she mentions at one point that she wouldn't be able to test the stamps on herself. Like, first of all, they wouldn't take, but also she doesn't think they'd let her because they don't want her to escape. I don't think over these 90 something days she'd be able to stamp herself every day. They wouldn't be letting her.
That's true.
They let her stamp the room, like
They're definitely
really-
not.
Oh,
letting her
you're
stamp
right.
herself.
To be fair, that's
they're
true.
they're definitely watching her like a hawk or
Because if she can just like slip a stamp on a wall, why couldn't she just slip a stamp on herself?
I don't know.
Like,
I
as
feel like
long as
stamping
they're-
herself they'd be watching for a lot more closely than stamping the wall.
But they would have to be watching constantly, which means they're just letting her stamp the room.
I mean, she says she's befriended the guards. They probably are letting her.
These guards need to be fired.
they really do.
Where was I? Oh yeah, so and then the final essence mark has knowledge of farming and sewing, and Shai explains how it could overwrite all of her forger training in case she ever wanted a way out. Shai also admits that the aunt and uncle that she keeps referencing are fake and are written into the stamp as well. It also will make her think that she has an illness, and that is why she needs to place a stamp on herself each day. She will also be afraid of traveling so that she will not try to visit her fake aunt and uncle. Shai has apparently written hundreds of letters so that if she decides to use that stamp, she will pay a delivery person to send periodically. She doesn't want to ever use that stamp, but sometimes the temptation of a simpler life is there. What do you think about her potentially having like this way out of the forgery life?
Just sounds dumb. Why even
Honestly,
waste the resources?
As much as I would want a simple life and like to be done with all that shit, I would not take away like my ability to do all that. I think I would. I don't know. These stamps me. I don't think I could handle using these stamps in general. Cause like the ability to like do that, like just change your soul, and like oh my god, I sound like one of them. Like the
Meet
the
cure my
grants or
What
whatever.
if you could cure depression though and stuff through stamping yourself every
No,
day?
but then that's not me.
Mm.
Darkness. What
Like
if
I
you
don't
could-
want to lose like
Oh.
like it's like scary losing a part of yourself, even if it's like a bad part.
I don't know. I'd stamp
I'm
away
a
my
better-
depression.
become a better person. Darkness. Oh my god.
I'll like
Yeah,
stamp other
I
people
mean-
to become
I
better.
mean, what if Midnight? What if you could stamp yourself so that you would be a good streamer,
Wow, that's fucked up.
or stamp yourself so you could be 5 foot instead of 4 foot?
But if you could stamp yourself so that you didn't have a mouth anymore.
Oh, that would be cool as shit. I kind of want to do that.
Also, what do you think about her aunt and uncle being fake? Because she's been like referencing, especially like her uncle, like this whole time.
They just live somewhere else. She can't visit them.
They're completely fake.
I know.
Man,
I was going with her story, you know.
But she's not stamped like that right now.
No,
but
but, like-
is she though?
You never know.
What if she is actually stamped? What if the stamp lasts forever now?
She's
But
just
she
What if she
somehow figured it out.
what if she figured it out, right? And then she's like, "Oh, I don't need to stab myself every day anymore," and she
Yeah, it's
stabs
just
herself with it,
always.
and now she doesn't have to stab herself,
Yeah,
but she
wait,
doesn't realize
didn't
it.
the one guy say that, like every time he was stamped, he was kind of like starting to become more like the one guy?
um
No, I think it
no.
was more like he was afraid that it was
He was
like,
afraid he was gonna get changed, yeah.
yeah, and
I
also
thought it
like
was saying he was like
he
sympathizing and
understood
becoming more like him.
he understood more of like how and why things were being felt that way.
Hmm.
So it changed his perspective more than like it changed himself.
Yeah. They also
Found him maybe more
theorized
sympathetic.
that the Emperor might need to stop being stamped eventually one day, but they didn't know for sure.
Can you make your wait? You can you do change your physical appearance, right? When you
Yes.
stamp yourself, can you make yourself younger?
I don't know.
Because immortality would be great that way.
You could probably make yourself a couple years younger, but I don't know if you can make yourself.
It has to
I
be
think
yeah, it has to be within reason because
Yeah, so it'd be
forgery
like,
won't
oh,
take.
maybe your parents decide to have like a kid like a year later or something. Like that would probably be probable, but not like 20 or 50 years, because you'd have to have completely different parents.
what if your mom cheated? No, um, I was I was gonna say that sounds more like a what do they call them? The fucking the other word they have for the forgers that help like heal and all that.
Oh, the Resealers?
In,
Yeah,
no.
that sounds more like a them type of thing, because they're focused on like the body and all that.
So Shai then blurts out that she was hired to destroy the painting by the artist himself. He was going blind and had painted the painting for a lover who was long dead. He also hated the Empire and hated that the children of his lover had sold it to the Empire. He didn't want it back, just wanted it gone from the Empire's hands, so Shai had burned it. Gautona is not happy about this, saying it was prideful of the painter and that the painting had belonged to the Empire, that he does understand somewhat. Shai also mentions how the painter had taught her painting in her youth. So what do you think about the fact that the reason Shai destroyed that painting was because the painter had hired her to do so?
I get it, and low key, the fact that he didn't like agree kind of pissed me off because like it's not even his to begin with.
I agree. I think the painter is in the right, in my opinion. But
Hmm. It's his
like,
painting. He can do with it what he
yeah, exactly,
wants.
exactly. It's kind of like I don't know if you ever heard of the Banksy painting, where when it sold, it started shredding itself.
Oh, I think I did
Cause
hear about
yeah,
that.
because Banksy never wanted like his stuff sold, so he made the contraption in the picture frame or whatever, and the moment that it was sold, it would like start shredding itself,
I
and
would do
now it's
that.
becoming an even bigger fucking painting. So like it's even more it's more expensive now.
I would do that though.
Yeah, it's really cool. I thought that was a really neat idea.
So Shai then tests 6 stamps
It's
on
called
Gout.
the girl with the balloon or something. I don't remember exactly. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know what I don't remember what painting it was, but I do remember briefly hearing about that a while ago. So Shai then tests 6 stamps on Gautona, all of which worked as she expected. She then tells Gautona that she is done testing stamps and she needs to do the hardest part, putting them all together and creating the linchpin stamp. She states that last time it took her over 5 months and she only has 24 days left. Gautona says he will leave her to it and leaves the room. Day 85. We move to Shai scrambling around her room and bed, stacking papers and going through notes about the Emperor's love life and romantic inclinations. She adds more to her notes for the stamp and fills in some guesswork on things that are not public, since he had not always been the Emperor. She had 2 books of notes now, one that claimed she was horribly behind, and one disguised as a stack of haphazard notes on paper. She goes through her notes as she notices some of them explaining her escape plans. She wasn't completely ignoring her escape plans, but the Emperor's soul stamp took up most of her attention. She thinks that she will take one more week, finishing 5 days before the deadline, and then she will escape. So considering that we know that the next chapter is 12 days later and only 3 days before the deadline, do you think Shai chose not to escape so that she could finish her work, or do you think that she just didn't have the chance to put her escape plan into action during that time?
I just think she's a perfectionist. She wanted to finish her work, so
Yeah, look, yeah, I wanted her to finish it too. So
yeah, I don't want to say something's impossible. I'm like, oh, I want to see you do it. Do the
Dean?
impossible.
Yeah. Especially when you're that close too. You're like, I can't leave now. It's so close.
I don't know. I can't die now. They kill me off right now, then everything's gone. I have to finish.
Day 97. Shai studies a striker named Hurley. He was brawny and acted dumber than he was so that he could win at cards. He also has 2 daughters and is cheating with a female guard. He secretly wished to be a carpenter like his father and would likely be horrified at how much Shai knew about him. He held up a
I'm
piece...
actually kind of surprised on how like
Right?
she's able to get some of this information. Like, you're in the middle of basically a jail cell. Like, how are you able to do this much research on
That's what I
a
thought when I
random
first heard it.
guard?
I feel
Yeah.
like the female guard that he's cheating with has to be like one of her other guards. And that's how she would know that. And like
Yeah,
maybe,
but how does she knows so much about this person?
yeah.
Like, crazy. It's like almost like the power itself is able to do that.
Nah, bro, she's like Cinderella. She talks to her rats.
Oh my god.
She actually talks to the furniture, not the rats.
Cinderella.
Yeah,
Cinderella.
the walls have ears.
The furniture talks to her.
I mean, yeah, it does kind of surprise me how she knew that somebody above, her was like had painted their room or whatever. It was like,
Wait, so you can't
told
like
you this.
visualize any sort of like background information on the objects by just like studying them, or is it like
What do you mean?
like power wise, it's not gonna give you any hints or anything?
No, I think everything she figures out is through observation and deduction.
That's crazy. Ain't no way she
And it-
figured that. Like, how the
Ain't
fuck
no
you gonna
way.
die?
Well, she spent 97 days with these guards.
She's worse than like a Hispanic parent, bro.
She's like a
Because
mom.
if
She
you
knows
know, you know
everything.
they the nosiest people.
I think you're projecting there, Darkness.
That's true.
I guess I'll skip my next question because
Uh,
my question
feel like
after
we
this
should ask Jesus
paragraph
that.
was going to be, were you surprised by how much Shai had figured out about the guard? But we kind of discussed that now.
You see, Midnight, you just gotta ask
Yeah,
better
why?
questions.
Yeah, right. Like,
I'm
goddamn.
doing my best.
Like, how are we anticipating your questions? Like,
Yeah, and
goddamn.
it's like every podcast that we do.
I
Like,
know.
Anyways,
It's almost like we should be the hosts, and
no.
you should be the one that has to read chapter by chapter.
Hurley held up a piece of paper he had found on the ground right after the blood sealer had left. Shai felt like she had to start her plan to get out. She only needed one more day to work on the Emperor's soul. Yil, a female guard, notes that Weed Fingers, which is what they're calling the blood sealer, must have dropped it. Hurley notes that this is a letter as both guards begin to read it. Shai sips on some tea and forces herself to relax. She had written a letter that had some general fluff about the palace and the guards that the guards would assume she didn't know, but the blood sealer would, as well as mentioning how the blood sealer is getting hair and fingernails from some warriors to bring back to make them personal guards. Yil calls the blood sealer a kunukam, which roughly translates to a man with an anus for a mouth.
Ass face.
And Shai asks to read the letter and tells him the man is likely just bragging to his brother and that they shouldn't worry. However, the 2 guards leave, and Shai thinks that they will rough the blood sealer up a bit, which will hopefully make him even more late than he normally would be, as this seemed like a day he'd go drinking. Shai almost feels sorry for the blood sealer until she thinks about the stamp that he puts on the door each day using her blood. She thinks that she needs to finish the stamp tonight. So what do you think of Shai's plan to cause the blood sealer to be extra late the next day?
I
Great
felt
plan.
bad for him. Look,
I didn't feel bad for him at all. I thought he was gonna still show up though. I was
Mm,
like,
Dude,
he's
he
gonna
was
still
dumb.
show up. He's gonna still show up. He's like hurt a little bit, but he's gonna still show up. He's gonna be more angry at her. I was honestly more angry at the guards because like she's a fucking forger. How did you even not
yeah.
think that
And
that
when
was
they
a
asked
forgery?
you, oh my god,
They
when they
brought-
asked her, they were like, they gave the head. She asked like,
Yeah.
what is it like? What does it say? And they're just like, here, look, this is what they say. Like, you're gonna tell her that? Like, okay.
That's so crazy.
Yeah,
I
they've grown
know.
complacent because she's been acting all good this whole time and like making friends with them.
Like that's. I mean, and in the beginning, didn't the one dude was like, don't fall for her trick, blah blah blah.
Right?
Yep.
They warned them so much, and they're just
Yep.
like, yeah, here's
Love
like,
ya.
They also, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure, weren't supposed to talk to her at all.
And they definitely talked to her.
They've
Yeah.
definitely been talking to her. I mean, they just
they
talked to her
literally
now.
just gave her more cheese, bro.
Day 98. Shai kneels on the floor, surrounded by scattered papers as morning light seeps in through the stained glass window. A soul stamp sat on a metal plate. She blinks tired eyes, knowing she has less than 4 hours of sleep in the last 3 days, and wonders if escape can wait until she has rested. However, she knows if she does sleep, she will not wake up. During this last night, she had made some drastic changes to the soul stamp design, and wouldn't know if these changes were due to fatigue delusions until the stamp was placed on the Emperor. So yeah, were you surprised that Shai finished the soul stamp in time? Technically, it was 2 days to spare.
No,
Did she finish it? No.
because I figured, and I also wanted her to just try it out anyway. So,
Also, what did you think these drastic changes that she apparently made were? Do you have any ideas?
Well, I know now, but like
yeah, but
at
I'm
the
saying at the
time,
time. Yeah.
I figured it would be something that would like expose like what she did,
Mm.
but after like she escaped.
I thought it was gonna be something like, kill everybody around you or some
Oh
Kill
God,
Frava! Fuck her up!
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
honestly,
Kill everyone but Kawatona.
Yeah. Just murder everyone.
good on father.
So one of the guards, both of whom had moved to the far side of the room near the hearth to give her space to work, asked if she was done. The guards didn't know what the stamp was, so Shai says if they want to know about it, they need to ask Kawatona. She places the stamp and the metal medallion in a box, which she prepared, and then brings out another box which has 5 stamps ready for her escape, 2 of which she had already used. Zu then enters the room, telling the 2 guards that he will be watching Shai until shift change. Shai lies and says that the stamp isn't ready yet, but Zu replies that it doesn't matter and he's here to settle things. Zu draws his sword and says that Frava has another forger and claims that Shai was likely planning to escape tomorrow, but he would kill her now. Zu lunges at her and Shai dodges barely, a slit being cut into her blouse. She runs around the bed to avoid him and he jumps onto the bed, which promptly falls in, as Shai had put a stamp on the bottom of it overnight to cause it to be fragile and broken, and it also created a pit beneath the bed, as if water damage to the room had never been noticed instead of being fixed previously. So what do you think of Shai's plan to get away from the guards by creating this fragile bed in the pit?
Loved it. It was such a
I
great
was
idea.
laughing my ass off when she was running around the bed.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, oh yeah, I can't sleep in the bed. She mentioned that very briefly earlier too.
Yeah.
It's like, that's why. Bed's gonna fall in and you're gonna fall to the floor below. So Shai glances down to the pit before rushing to the table to grab her things. She grabs the box with her stamps, the box with the Emperor's stamps, and some extra soulstone and ink, her 2 notebooks. Shai throws the notebook she'd been giving to Frava into the hearth and then waits a few moments for the Bloodsealer stamp to finally blank out as he had not returned in time to renew it. Shai quickly rushes out into the hallway and presses her 3rd stamp to her clothing to turn it into that of a servant's clothing for the palace. She then moves with a swift walk, adopting the air of someone who knows what they're doing and where they are going. Shai then makes her way to the Emperor's room, turning one of the urns in the hallway into a golden chamber pot. She gets past a guard by showing a piece of paper with a manually forged seal of Kawatona's, glad that she had been able to convince him to use the security that she had suggested. Shai then makes her way through the Emperor's rooms until she makes it to the locked bedroom door. She forges it using the same stamp she had used on the bed, which didn't hold for long, but it held long enough for her to kick down the now fragile door. So did you think Shai was going to get herself caught by going to use the stamp on the Emperor instead of just escaping?
No, I figured she had a plan. So.
Yeah. Also, I was wondering, can you like mess with somebody else's seal?
You can pop it off. I don't think you can change it once it's
So like, what if you like scrape it? Like,
I think once it's there, I don't think you can fuck with it. Like it might just like
You're talking about
break.
the actual stamp though, or are you talking about the seal itself?
well, I don't know, cause I was thinking, what if they put like a stamp on like the leg of a table and you just chop that fucking leg off and take it?
I mean, I think if you chopped the leg of the chair or of the table off, the leg would still have, like, say, like it's her fancy table that used to be splintered and fucked up. The rest of the table would probably go back to the way it was, but the leg would probably stay fancy.
I see. She should have taken the fucking door, bro. Just carry the door around.
Might have been a little difficult.
Nah, it would have been fine. And nobody would question it.
Oh yeah, I'm sure no one would question her carrying around a door.
Good day. Good day. Good day. Carrying a fucking door.
Shai makes her way to the Emperor, who is laying in his bed, staring up at the ceiling sightlessly. She whispers that she knows his soul and that she just wants him to be. Shai then inks the stamp and presses it into the upper arm of the Emperor. He blinks for a moment before mentioning that he was attacked and worrying about his wife who he saw die. Ashravan then asks who she is, and she claims to be a resealer and explains that if he does not stamp himself every day, keep the metal disc near him at all times, he will die. She hesitates before handing over the stamp and metal disc. She also tells him that only the Arbiters know about this. He says he should have her killed, but he won't. Shai tells him to be better this time and then flees the room as the shouts outside get closer. Shai stumbles out with the chamber pot, exclaiming to the guard that she hadn't meant to see the Emperor and asks if the shout is about her. The guard says it isn't and to hurry off to her room. Shai hurries away and then feels a pain at her side. She notices that her side is bleeding slightly from where Zu attacked her and that the Bloodsealer must be using the blood from Zu's sword to have his pets track her. So what do you think about the Bloodsealer getting some of her blood from Zu's sword?
I get adrenaline and all that, but like, how the fuck do you not realize you got stabbed or like nicked with the sword? Like, still,
I mean, exactly like you said, adrenaline. I don't know if you've ever
I feel like you would still feel
actually.
it.
I don't know. Have you ever had an injury that you didn't actually know you had an injury until you saw it and then it
I
starts
definitely
hurting?
have.
But that was like those are like tiny scratches, right?
Yeah, but it works on on pretty much any scale. If you don't notice that you are hurt, your brain doesn't realize that it is, and then you can go for a while without actually noticing it.
Yeah, I've definitely had bruises and cuts where like I don't feel it until like
Mm-hmm.
I
You
actually
see
like
it.
notice that I'm bleeding or bruised, and I'm like, oh fuck, that really hurts.
Happens all the time.
Also, when that was like happening, I know you're still all this shit. I was like, oh my god, are they gonna kiss?
Oh my god.
Oh my goodness.
And then I was like, when he woke up, he was like, my wife, and I'm like, fuck, you ruined the moment.
Wow.
My wife.
So Shai tosses the urn that she had been using as the chamber pot to the side and then begins running, as she knows if the skeleton pets find her, she will die. She needs to find a horse and stay ahead of the pets for 24 hours until her blood is stale. She hears Uncle Juan telling her in her head to always have a backup plan, and she did. She knows the main doors will be locked by now, so she begins doubling back the way she came. She silently prays to the unknown god as she runs that she is right about Gaotona. She finds him near the Emperor's rooms, and she tells him that the stamp worked. He asks why she came here and didn't just run right away, but she replies that she needed to know. Gaotona then brings out Shai's box of stamps and asks how she knew that he'd have them, how she manipulated to him, to which she replies that she manipulated him by being genuine, just as that is how he manipulates people. He says it isn't the same, and she replies that it was the best that she could manage. Gaotona then says that he isn't on her side, but he doesn't want her killed, and to take the box of stamps and run. She hands over a notebook and then tells Gaotona that if she escapes, she will add to her final essence mark a kind grandfather who saved her life. Before she leaves, she again says that it worked. So were you surprised that Gaotona had Shai's essence marks with him and that he decided to let her escape?
No,
I mean, not really. They kind of
it
had a
was
thing going.
literally like hinted at it.
Yeah, they kind of had a thing going. He was very interested in her and all that shit. He was like trying to learn more about her.
Mm-hmm.
I was honestly more. I was like thinking it was gonna be like he was gonna be like, "You're actually my granddaughter" or something,
Oh my
something
gosh.
stupid like that.
I mean, they're completely different races, so it'd be unlikely.
You know,
Well,
you know,
that's
not.
more a genetic thing, but yeah.
I mean, if she ever uses that one stamp, he will be seen as her grandfather.
Yep.
So we briefly think at Gaotona's point of view, as he thinks that the Rose Empire will be led by someone dead, and just hopes that he hasn't become a monster. We go back to Shai's point of view as she rips off her shirt to reveal a black cotton shirt underneath. Servants scatter away from her as she moves through the palace, seeming to know to get out of her way. Shai takes out one of her essence marks and slams it into her bicep. She becomes Shaizan, a woman who has trained with the Teulu people for 15 years. It's hard for me to say the word. Teulu. Her body became hard and she slipped off her spectacles. She lost her forgery training but still remembered what she had done and knew that her new memories were fake, even if they didn't feel fake. Her hair shortened and a scar formed on her face as she prowled down the corridor.
That's crazy.
So what do you think of Shai's transformation into Shaizan?
She's a fucking monster.
I don't like Shazan.
You like Shaizan?
No, I don't.
Oh, you don't like
No.
Shaizan?
No, she's too full of herself.
I see.
I mean, for good reason, but okay.
She's a fucking badass.
Yeah,
No, I don't know.
midget wishes she could be.
I don't like seeing her as a fighter.
You like Scholar Shai, not Shaizan?
Yeah.
No, I like the beggar.
You like Beggar Shai?
For some reason, every time I think of that, is it the beggar. Which one's the one that's like bald and like
That's the
scarred and all
Beggar.
that?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I keep thinking it's like a hitman, like when.
I always think of her looking kind of similar to the like dead Elantrians, the like in their in between phase,
Oh, really?
like hair falling out, skin all blotchy, like she's like malnourished.
Best one for sure.
So Zhu then comes out of a
How about
room and
that?
tells her that the Bloodsealer is after her, but Shai cuts him off and smacks his wrist, breaking it and causing him to drop his sword. She holds his throat and punches him in the chest, breaking 6 ribs.
Yeah, badass.
Zhu drops to the ground and Shai grabs his knife and tears off his cloak, taking it with her. White-limbed creatures then come down the hallway towards her, too thin to
There
be
they are.
alive. There were 5 of them in the shape of men with swords. Some bits of the skeletons have been replaced with wooden carvings to fix broken bones. Shaizan studies the creatures, thinking that stabbing them won't work, but it seems like breaking the bones may stop them from working. As the creatures approach her, Shizan covers one of them with the cloak and then engages the second one. She stabs the creature to stop its attack and then grabs it by the vertebrae and yanks them out. The bones seem to be sharpened, and one cut her forearm, but the creature collapses once the critical bones are removed. 4 creatures remain, and 3 attack from behind her. She dodges and grabs the cloak from the one creature, and then yanks its skull off of its body by the eye sockets, getting cut by its sword in the process.
Bowling ball!
She blocks 2 attacks with the skull and dagger, but gets hit by the 3rd attack. However, she had trained herself to ignore pain. She then hits one creature in the skull with the other skull, causing both skulls to shatter, and causing the 3rd creature to fall dead. Shizan avoids attacks by the last 2 before kicking one away and shoving the other against the wall. She pulls out the vertebrae of the one against the wall to cause it to fall as well. She was starting to feel the blood loss, but she makes sure to keep moving as she avoids an attack and then headbutts the creature, causing herself to fall to her knees, but the final creature falls. She barely keeps consciousness and then howls a chant of her adopted family before ripping her blouse to bind her wounds. So what did you think of Shizan fighting?
I loved it. It was fucking awesome.
It's alright.
It's alright.
Darkness just thinks she's full of herself, so she's really a badass.
I just imagine random servants down the hallway hearing this like howling. Being like, the fuck is that?
Oh damn. The cutoff made it better.
So Shizan then grabs Sue's cloak and ties the skulls of the creatures to it before continuing down the hallway until she finds the Bloodsealer hidden in a closet. She grabs the man by the front of his shirt and tells him to go back to his swamp, and the woman writing to him, and that the woman writing to him just wants him home and doesn't care about the money he is making here in the capital. She says it for Shai, not for Shizan. Shizan then stabs the man in the leg so that she has his blood, and tells him she is taking the skulls of his pets so that he can't remake them. Were you surprised that she didn't kill the Bloodsealer?
No, they have a thing going on, you know?
Do they?
Oh, okay.
I think he has a thing going on with someone else, apparently.
Nope, definitely her.
Well, it's more like a thing that's not going on considering all the letters and the way she's talking about it, but
I don't know. Sounds like a long distance relationship.
Yeah, I mean, we should talk to Jesus some more about that. He's got a long distance relationship with you.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah. He's 6 foot, you're 4 foot.
Wow, I'm 4'11".
Long distance. Very long distance.
So Shizan then makes her way towards the stables before stopping and thinking of something. She briefly tries to convince herself not to do something, but then decides to be a fool. A short time later, she makes her way to the stables and takes one of the most distinguished horses.
Decides to be a fool.
So at this point, what did you think Shai was going to do before leaving?
I thought she was gonna go see the Emperor again.
I thought she was gonna kill everybody. Just blow the whole
I don't
place
remember what she did.
Yeah, me either.
She steals the painting back from Prava's office.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. Okay, I was like,
She does?
Yeah, she has it. She talks about having it in the epilogue.
Oh, I don't remember that. I know I didn't pass out because I read the fucking next story. So.
Yeah, I passed out on the next story. I'm gonna have to re-listen to it when I got up.
I fucking love the next story.
Do you? I find it to be the most boring of the whole book.
Really? I loved it so much.
I'm glad you liked it. It's like my least favorite thing that I've read of Brandis.
God, somebody liked it.
I'm surprised. I thought it was like literally everyone's least favorite thing ever.
I mean, you also thought Warbreaker. You also thought Warbreaker was like not the best.
Well, I didn't say everyone's. I said some people just like Warbreaker.
That's like my second favorite character from that book.
So anyway, we switched back to Gaotona's point of view as he speaks with Ashravan. Ashravan asks if Gaotona really went to a forger to heal him, and he says they did. As he watches the Emperor, he wonders how Shai got all of the Emperor's little mannerisms correct. Ashravan says that this will be a manacle on him, but Gaotona says he will suffer it. Ashravan then complains that he only keeps Gaotona around because of his past service. And Gaotona says that the other arbiters will wish to see him and he will go get them. However, before he leaves, Ashravan asks if what was wrong with him was related to his mind, not his body. Gaotona worries that Shai had written into the stamp somehow, then remembers how clever Ashravan is and that he had likely figured it out himself. Gaotona confirms this, and Ashravan says that they are lucky they didn't ruin his mind. Gaotona then leaves the room. So what do you think of how well Shai's stamp worked on the Emperor?
A little too well, if I ask.
I was gonna say, it seems like she has some experience with that, huh?
I mean, she has made essence marks, but... and then on to the epilogue, day 101. We start with Frava's point of view as she listens to Ashravan make a speech to the assembled arbiters of the 80 factions. She wonders what backdoors Shai had put into the Emperor and had her forger, Nian, inspect copies of the seals, although it may take him years to fully decode everything. She thinks it was smart of Shai to destroy her notes, and then sits down next to Gaotona and says that the other arbiters are accepting the Emperor. Frava also says that they will need to be careful over the next few years, as Shai could easily blackmail them about this. Gaotona just nods distractedly, causing Frava to think that she wishes she could get Gaotona out of his spot on the arbiters. She had been working with Ashravan for a while to poison his mind against Gaotona, but Shai wouldn't have known that, so she'd have to restart her work on that now.
Would she not though? That wouldn't she though? Wouldn't she know all of this?
She probably wouldn't have put it in there though if she did know. But yeah, were you surprised that Fraba had been trying to turn Ashravan against Gaotona?
These are like 7 different fucking names in my head.
Were you surprised that the fucking woman, bitch, turned the Emperor against the nice old man?
Oh, no.
Is that better, Darkness?
Yeah. Nah, she's like, oh my gosh, she's the evil stepmom for Cinderella.
She is.
Oh my god, this is just Cinderella in a cover up.
Oh my gosh. Were you surprised at all, Mythic?
No, she's a cunt.
Fair.
Been saying it from the start.
Gaotone then mentions how Shai escaped, and Frava replies that she will be found, but Gaotone doesn't agree. He also doubts that she will blackmail them, as she will be happy enough to see her creation on the throne. Frava thinks that Gaotone is naive. Gaotone also mentions that the speech the Emperor is giving and the way he is making the Glory faction look bad is like how he was in the past, which Frava states means that he isn't perfect. She notices Gaotone holding a book that she doesn't recognize, but is distracted by a servant coming to speak to her, asking if she had been in her office recently. So do you agree that Gaotone is naive, or do you think Frava is the one who doesn't understand people well?
Her second thing.
He clearly doesn't, cause like
she thinks everyone's as fucked up as she is.
She's pretty fucked
yeah,
up.
and the way she like processed what was happening with the Emperor or whatever when he was giving the speech, I was like, are you seeing what he's seeing? Like,
she's like, oh, he's not like greedy and power corrupt anymore. He's obviously not perfect, and he should go back to the way he was.
yeah, it's not like midnight.
Yeah.
Greedy and corrupt.
Exactly.
And not perfect. Not.
Yeah, 4 foot tall is not perfect.
I'm 4'11".
You're still 4 feet.
I'm 11 inches more than 4 feet.
No. You're still in the 4 feet, like general, like you know.
No, she's only 3'11". She's trying to up herself.
Oh, she's rounding up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start rounding back up to 5 feet.
You're not 5 feet.
I'm
though.
5 feet.
That's a straight up lie.
5 feet.
Exactly. You're straight up lying.
5 feet.
Nope.
We then switch to Shai's
maybe with a foot high heel.
We then switch to Shai's point of view as she glances back at the capital from afar. Her horse no longer looked as it had in the stables, now missing teeth and looking underfed. She has stayed the last few days in the capital's underground, using her beggar essence mark before escaping the city and getting rid of her stamp as she found thinking like a beggar uncomfortable. She then removes the horse's stamp, allowing it to become strong and healthy again. She also notes that the horse she had taken had been Zoo's. Shai also notes that she has stolen back her forgery of the painting in Frava's office. She had left the frame cut open with a rude rune carved into the wall behind it. Next she thinks about how she had made some specific changes to the Emperor. Shai then takes out her survivalist essence mark so that she could spend the next few months in the nearby forest until she eventually would try to track down the Imperial Fool. Before she continues off, she hopes that the Emperor will make her proud and live well. So do you think we'll ever learn if Shai catches up to Hoi, or will we ever learn why he took the Moon Scepter?
Eventually, but not like...
Never.
Yeah, we'll probably learn, but like, I doubt it's gonna be anytime soon.
Mythic says never. We'll see.
It's like we learn the next time we start reading.
So we switch to Gaotone's point of view as he reads the book Shai gave him later that night. The book had all of Shai's notes regarding the Emperor's soul stamp. There were no backdoors for Frava to exploit, and Shai had weakened and strengthened some of his memories in hopes of the Emperor becoming the person he could have been. Over the course of years, Ashravan would begin to introspect more, looking into his journals and indulging in feasts less and focusing more on his people. He would finally make the changes that were needed. Gaotone weeps at the beauty of the masterpiece before him. He reads it late into the night, marveling over it, but knowing that no one could know what Shai did. Thus, when morning comes, he drops the book into the fire of his hearth. Do you think it was right of Gaotone to burn the notes?
Yes. I was like, read them, burn them.
Read and burn.
Do you agree?
The knowledge will die with him.
Do you agree, Mythic?
Yeah, I agree. Read and then burn. Yep.
Also...
Well, every spy movie does it.
Also, what do you think about Shai's changes to the Emperor?
They're good.
Subtle.
Like,
yeah, subtle.
It's what was needed.
That is the end of the Emperor's Soul.
Thank God.
Didn't enjoy it?
I mean, I was just hoping to get to the next one. didn't realize how boring it was.
Oh yeah, and the next one is not, huh?
No,
I really
no,
like.
the other one. The next one's
Yeah.
boring as shit. So
I really liked The Emperor's Soul. A lot of people say it's like Brandon's best work. I don't fully agree with that. I
I
like
don't
some stuff
either.
others.
what do
I
you
like
think
some
his
stuff
best
better.
work is then, Midnight? What do you think his best work is, Midnight?
I'd say most of Stormlight is written better than Emperor's Soul.
You think Stormlight is better? Oh god.
Yeah, I also like as a story. Like, I think a lot of people say Emperor's Soul is his best work just because he does a lot of more like metaphors and like I don't know. People say like the writing itself is better, but I like the plots of other stuff better, and I like the
Stamp
I
you
like
with
the
some good
world
taste.
building of Stormlight a lot.
I would
Yeah, we
if
gotta
there was
stamp
a
you with
book.
some good taste.
If there's a book, I don't know if there is about like just this.
There's not
I would
currently, no.
I would put it below Elantris.
Would you?
Yeah,
Really? I don't know about
I
that.
think I would put it below everything actually.
I'll check
Really,
this
it's your least
twice.
favorite so far?
Yeah, I think so. Like I like the character. Like the character is one of like my favorites.
Hmm.
Yeah, when we
Out of
finish
all
all
the
of these
women,
books, we should do a tier list.
Yeah, no, I do
we
want to do.
should.
I have kind of been asking you at the end of each book, like, oh, how do you
Where
want
would you rank this?
Yeah.
Yeah, we should do a tier list though at the end of
But
all of these books. Be
to?
like,
I like the Emperor and I like the main character as long as she's the scholar one. But that's about it.
All right. Going into the Hope of Elantris, Darkness's favorite, Mythic's least favorite. So we start with Rowden's point of view, as Ash tells him that Serene says she will be a bit late for dinner, and it's Rowden's fault since she is pregnant. Rowden was currently in his palace in Elantris, the walls glowing faintly and thus needing no other light sources. He also thinks about how easily he can turn garbage into food now, and how no one will ever starve in Erelon. Rowden then asks Ash what he has been doing just before Elantris had been restored. Ash then begins to tell his story. So what did you think about Rowden and Serene's new life now that Elantris is restored? They're like living there, Serene's pregnant.
That's crazy.
this is the first kid.
I want to see the child's birth, which will never happen. But you know.
I don't know, because there's gonna be an Elantris 2 and Elantris 3 at some point. That is, I think.
Oh right, because of the crossovers. You're right. No,
No, because I think Brandon has specifically stated that he's planning to write Elantris 2 before he writes Stormlight 6. So within
well,
the
yeah,
next,
they
like,
have to because of the crossover.
Yeah, a lot of crossovers.
Yeah, possible. So we then move to Matisse's point of view, and she notes that her job in Elantris is to take care of the children, even before Spirit had required everyone to have a job. A young boy named Tior asks if they can stay up late tonight, but Matisse replies that they always go to bed at this time. Another young boy named Teal replies that something is happening as all the adults are drawing aeons. Matisse looks out the windows of the building where the 50 children are kept and sees that the other adults are indeed drawing aeons, and that Teal is right, that something is going on. Matisse then tells Tion that he can stay up if he practices aeons with the adults, but he and Teal both don't want to do that, so they go back to their beds. Matisse then begins to wander through the children's beds to make sure they're sleeping when a young girl named Rika says she can't sleep. Apparently Rika used to have a seance before she had been taken by the Shroud, and she could rarely sleep well when asking about it. He tells the girl to go back to sleep, then finishes her rounds before going over to another teenager who is standing by the window named Elantris. He asks why they're practicing aeons, and Matisse replies that there is power behind them, although Elantris calls them useless. So what do you think about the teenagers being in charge of the children? Their whole
They
little
don't age, do they?
facility?
The Elantrians don't age, do they?
No, I don't believe they age.
So, are they teenagers?
I mean, yeah, they might not be. It depends how long they've been in there for.
I mean, it's nothing new. That happens a lot in different like books and movies and stuff. So.
Yeah, hierarchy. Yeah,
Yeah, sure. Let's put it like that.
no, it is a hierarchy. The younger's, the older you get, the higher you are in that hierarchy.
So Matisse then heads out, thinking that unlike most of the others, she had found being an Elantrian advantageous, as she had used to be a beggar before being taken by the Shroud. She no longer had to beg for food, and the cold didn't bother her, even if the cut on her cheek still burned like the day she got it. She had also
I know this is boring because I can barely remember any of this.
She had also gotten a father figure in New Elantris, Dash. Dash and Katara both acted as paternal figures towards the children, but he seemed to have a special affection for Matisse and hadn't objected when she started calling him father one day. Matisse notes that Dash is upset that Spirit isn't here, and Dash replies that he shouldn't be chasing her after Serene, and that the outside world doesn't matter to them. Matisse then overhears Galadon mentioning adding the Chasm line to Aeons, which she is confused by. Dash mentions how he isn't sure how scholars missed a whole line on every Aeon, that Spirit thinks the Aeons will work now that they've added this line. So what do you think about Galadon teaching the other adults these how to draw these aeons with the chasm line?
Chasm.
Right? The way she
Chasm.
says that,
Chasm.
the way she says
Sorry.
it is so cringe. Jesus.
Oh, you need English classes, huh?
Shut up. Anyways, Ashlyn shows up and asks for Katara, to which Dash replies that she is in the library. Just moving on, because you guys make fun of me. Matisse wonders what library he is talking about. Ashlyn says
easy
he'll
when
tell
you're Canadian.
Dash the information instead, that there's a shipment of weapons coming as Serenity wants New Elantris to be prepared, as tensions are rising outside of Elantris. Dash replies that he will gather his men to go get the shipment. Matisse then asks if she can borrow Ash for a moment. We skip time a bit to Ash finishing his story to a now sleeping Rika. Apparently Ash's story had helped a lot of the children go to sleep. Matisse then leads Ash
Shocker.
back.
It's almost as if it's boring.
Wow. Matisse
Wow.
leads Ash back outside and apologizes for taking up so much of his time. Ash says he is happy to read stories to a child again, and that he expects that if Spirit can fix the Aeons and the city, Matisse will one day have her own Aeon as well. Maresh then calls out to Matisse, coming over to her and asking where her father is. Matisse replies that he is training his men with the sword, and Maresh mentions that he can't find Galadon either. He mentions how sometimes Galadon and Karada disappear, leaving him in charge but not telling him where they go. Matisse wonders if it's related to the library Dash mentioned. Suddenly they hear shouts coming from the front of New Elantris. Ash zips off, and one of the adults who supervises the children, Tide, comes out and says he'll check out what's happening. Eotris tries to get Tide not to leave them alone, but he still goes. Eotris then tries to go after Tide, but Matisse says they need to wake the children, as they are the only two teenagers left. The others have gone back to their houses. As Eotris goes back inside to wake the children, Matisse goes to a storage room to get some lanterns. What do you think of Matisse's gut instinct to wake the children and get lanterns?
What do you think of Matisse? What?
Her like gut instincts of like waking the children up when she heard all the shouting and stuff.
Well, she protects the children, so it makes sense she knows how, you know?
Yeah.
I thought
Mateo
something.
protects the children.
You say Mateo?
Yep, Mateo.
Mateo?
Mateo protects the children.
Interesting.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know she was suddenly Italian.
Mateo.
I didn't know she was a man.
I mean,
I mean,
wait,
can you really
whoa.
tell?
Are we gendering fucking names now?
Yes, we are.
Oh, okay.
Ash then returns, glowing only dimly, and tells Matisse that Fjordals have attacked New Elantris, and they are searching the buildings. Matisse hurries back towards the roost, stating that they need to get the children to the dirty part of the city to hide them better. He then tells
I didn't
Ash...
know Yordles were part of this world.
Fjordals?
I didn't know Yordles were part of this world.
Fjordal.
I thought they were just in the League of Legends.
What?
Oh.
Yordles.
I don't play League of Legends. I don't know what you're talking about.
I know.
I was
Unfortunately.
thinking more like Norse mythology shit.
Isn't that
For some
where
reason, my
Fjord
mind went
would
to
be?
Yorkies, like the dog breed.
Yeah. Where's the York? Wait, are there Yorkies in this book? How, did I miss that?
Yeah, you did. It's because you fell asleep.
Yeah, twice. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Every time Ash talks about his past, I'm like,
Wow. So she then tells Ash to go find her father and let him know what she is planning. Once back inside, she sees the children sleepily getting their shoes on, and she approaches Teal and Tior, asking that they help her with the youngest children to keep them moving and quiet. She tells them it's an emergency and that she is in charge because her father is a soldier, and they can be her sub-captains. Matisse then begins to herd the children outside, and Eotris approaches her, asking what is going on. Matisse tells him that New Elantris is being attacked and they need to run. She lights the lanterns and hands one to Eotris. I keep wanting to read his name as Idiot.
I like idiot better than this. It's okay.
His name is so close to Idiot, and I feel bad.
I mean, that's his parents' fault, right?
It is his parents' fault.
I think I read it as idiot once too.
Yeah, I know, right?
Wait, they didn't say idiot at all, right?
No, they
No,
didn't.
Adonis.
Okay, then yeah, I read it as
Adonis.
idiot once.
Yeah, Adonis, yeah.
They make their way towards the edge of New Elantris until Matisse suddenly hears a language she doesn't recognize.
Mateo.
She turns to see New Elantris on fire and 3 men in red coming towards them. Matisse tells the children to run, and suddenly Ash appears, spinning around the soldiers' heads to try to distract them. As they're distracted, Dash attacks from out of an alleyway. She shouts for the children to move, and Eotris begins to lead them away slowly. Matisse staying at the back as she watches Dash fight.
You could almost say they dashed in.
He did dash in. She wants to help,
He
but
took that dash action for sure.
She wants to help, but Dash turns to her and tells her to run, just as a sword is stabbed through his chest and he collapses from the pain.
Bye-bye.
So did you expect them to kill Dash in a way that would prevent him from being brought back when Elantris was restored?
Yeah, he had a low armor class, so
Were you
I was in the
expecting
moment. I completely forgot that. You
they
know,
come back?
yeah.
So you're just expecting him to be dead?
I was like, he's a HUD. He's gone.
You expecting him to be dead, Mythic?
honestly, I don't. Like I said, I barely remember any of this, so I don't remember
Okay.
what I was thinking at this point.
He's going along with the experience right now too.
Matisse then tells Ash to go to Elantris and have him turn off his lantern and lead the
Idiot.
children to the library where Galadon and Karada are. She then begins to draw an Aeon in the air, causing the soldiers to pause. They begin to advance as Matisse finishes Aeon Ash, but then she adds the chasm line that she had seen Galadon demonstrate, and suddenly the Aeon glows brightly in their faces, causing them to stumble back. Matisse grabs her lantern and runs, the soldiers following her because of her lantern and not noticing the children moving nearby in the dark. Did you expect that all of the children were going to be safe, or did you think that some of them were going to get attacked here?
No, I figured they would make it, especially with what was it, Ash? Ash?
Mm.
Was it Ash?
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
Ash.
it's ass. Yeah.
Little like light orb.
Yeah, Ash.
Yeah,
Ass, yeah.
especially with her guiding them.
Ash is a guy, I'm pretty sure.
Nah,
Oh
they
right.
don't have a gender.
Pretty sure
No,
they
right?
do. Ash
It's
is a
weird
guy.
that they do have a gender. Like, why is there a gender to
They
it?
always
Yeah,
reply to
like-
Ash as he, and I think they've mentioned a Seon being a she
I mean,
before.
it's the same. It's the same thing as what were those things called in fucking the
the
last book
Contra?
we just read? Yeah, it's just like them. They don't
They
have
also have-
genders.
Yeah, but
Nope.
like, what's different about them that makes them like what?
Yeah,
I guess the way they
what
like.
I think it's just their self-identity. They have a gender, but they don't
Yeah.
have a sex.
Yeah, I was gonna
Okay.
say. I guess the way they identify, right? But,
I think it might also be their voice. Like he probably has a masculine voice.
okay, but like, men can have feminine voices.
I know,
and
but I'm
Yeah,
just saying that's
exactly.
probably why they mostly refer to him as a guy as well.
I don't know, bro. That shit is trippy.
Ash is a they them for all I know.
Ash is a fucking ball of light, and that's all that matters.
So
I always.
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. I always thought about it like, what if I just like stick a torch up, like or like a thing to like place light in, and just let them sit on it, just like swing it around.
You know, I mean, it makes me think about how long ago was this book written?
Oh, Arcanum and
A
Bandit or
long time.
Elantris?
We'll go with whichever one was like the furthest back because
Furthest
I'm
back?
pretty sure
Oh god, Elantris was
Ash
like
in-
2003?
Man,
yeah,
I was
so
born in 2003.
all before the boom of like all
2005.
this stuff. Oh, okay,
2005.
yeah. Before the boom of all this. So like it shocks me that like they're so I guess what's the word inclusive in certain things.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I'm waiting for my gay lovers because
yeah, sure. I don't have high hopes, but
you don't have high hopes.
There's
No?
there's
if it's like
several.
a cameo
what?
that's like
What?
queer baiting, I'm like leaving.
No, there's two guys who get married in Stormlight Archive. They're not like the main character, but they're like close friends of one of the main characters. And
How
then there-
long do they last in the story?
I
Are
think
they
they
just
might-
mentioned?
They die instantly in the wedding.
well, no, they're. I think they might still be alive. That's
Are
what
they
look for.
mentioned only?
They're. I mean, the one guy, as I said, he's a close friend of one of the main characters, so he's
But are
quite
they
a bit.
only
And they do mention his husband quite a few times. Like
Oh, so they mentioned the husband.
the husband's like
Okay.
hangs around with them and stuff.
I think Darkness. I think you're right. It's gonna be like a queer bait, yeah, for
It
sure.
is.
They're like, oh, we gotta add this
No,
one thing
we'll
in
see.
so that
We'll
the gays
see.
will like us.
There's also a very brief. Oh no, actually, Mistborn Era 2 though as well has some lesbians who are pretty prominently featured.
Wait, Vin's in there?
No, Vin's not a
I wouldn't be
lesbian.
surprised, bro, if Vin had like the the environment to be comfortable enough. I would be surprised if she was,
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
there's
I
a
feel
lesbian
like
couple in
Vin-
Mistborn Era 2.
I feel like
There's
Vin has a lot of bi energy, to be honest.
yes.
one of the main characters from Stormlight. A lot of people said that the way Brandon wrote her gives her a lot of bi energy, and so Brandon's like, yeah, sure, she can be bi. I didn't mean for her to be bi, but she can be bi.
Sure, I still married her to a guy, but
Maybe by herself by the end of the book.
There also is an aromantic character in
Oh,
Stormlight.
oh, for you, wonderful.
I'm asexual, not aromantic. She's the opposite
For
of
you,
me.
wonderful.
There is a very brief cameo of a trans person as well in Stormlight, but that one's very much like a
Brief
very
cameo.
small mention. Yeah, they're like not a main character in
Yeah.
any way. Oh wait, I think there's
That's
also going to be another gay relationship in Stormlight 5 that's been hinted
God,
at.
we have to wait how many fucking books for that? Yeah.
Anyways,
Eh, at least we get something, you know?
yeah, you get stuff, yeah. Where was I? As Matisse runs, she finds fatigue coming over her quick. Just as she thinks she may have lost them, they surround her and grab her arm. Matisse drops her lantern, causing the soldier to stumble, but he holds firm. Matisse then falls, kicking out at the soldier's leg and causing him to slip in the sludge and fall into one of his companions. Matisse had twisted her ankle in the fall, but she manages to limp away and finds she'd ended up going in a circle, now back to where Dash lay on the ground, repeating over and over for Matisse to run in his Hoed chant. So what do you think about Matisse's plan to get the soldiers away from the children, and then her plan to escape from the soldiers?
Well, she
I don't know.
protects the children. Like I
Yeah,
said, it's her job.
Mateo's great.
Yeah, Mateo's best character, Mythic?
I don't know about best character, but definitely it's great.
Matisse falls to her knees next to her father as the soldiers that she had knocked over find her. One of the soldiers grabs her by her shoulder and demands to know where the other children went, although Matisse replies that she doesn't know. The soldier insists that she tell him and holds a knife out towards her. Suddenly the ground begins to shake and a burst of light comes from the perimeter of the city. Matisse begins to feel warm, and the soldier notes that the cut on her cheek has healed. He seems confused but says he can still hurt her. She begins to wiggle free as she starts to comprehend that what Ash had said about the Elantrians coming back had been true. Then a voice says that if Matisse was healed, so was he. Dash attacks the soldier with the very sword that had impaled him. Matisse cries and embraces Dash as she sees her father glowing like a god. Dash urgently asks where the other children are, and Matisse says that she kept them safe, as that was her job. So were you happy that Dash came back to life?
I don't really care about him.
Wow. What did you think, Mythic? Were you happy Dash was alive?
How old is Matisse in this?
She's a teenager. I think she's like 15 or something.
Okay.
But we don't know how long she's been 15, but she's 15. Because she says she's 2 years younger than Elantris, and I think he's like 17 or something.
But yeah, I didn't really care about that dude.
Do you care about Dash, Mythic?
I don't really care about any of these people.
Okay.
We then go back to Rowden's point of view, as he asks what did happen with the children. Ash replies that he brought them to the library, although Karada and Galadon had already left. He stayed with them to keep them calm. Rowden had apparently...
I'm sorry, but that's the library with the pool of water in it, right?
So the pool of water is not in the library. You have to go out a back entrance of the library, and then you go up a mountain.
Right.
That's where the pool of water is.
I was like, in my head, I was like, I don't remember if it's there. But like, what did they fall in?
No, the library is just in the basement of the church. They'd have to go through the back entrance and then up a fucking mountain.
Ash is secretly evil. She's like guiding them to the fucking pool.
Yeah, so
He?
Ash...
She?
He.
Hey,
He.
Ash is a he. Respect his pronouns, Darkness.
I forget.
But yeah, so apparently Ash has stayed with them to keep them calm. Rowden had apparently given 2 Seons without masters to Dash for his help defending the city, and Dash had given one of them to Matisse. Ash tells Rowden that Matisse ended up with a Seon with the Aeon Ao, meaning bravery. So what did you think of Matisse getting her own Seon in the end?
It was cool. Low-key, I did expect her to get the one that's similar to her name. The one that's in her name.
Atty, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it's cool that she didn't get that one, because, you know, expect the unexpected, I guess.
Right, so that was the end of the Hope of Elantris. What did you guys think of the 2 stories? Darkness, you said that one you liked Hope of Elantris over Emperor's Soul.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think I'm assuming it was the opposite for you. You liked Emperor's
no,
Soul
they're
more.
both boring. They're both boring. I don't know what you're talking
Okay.
about. I mean, I like the ending. I like the ending of whatever the fuck the Emperor Soul, but
Yeah.
the rest of it was pretty boring. I mean, nothing is as good as Warbreaker. So.
I see. Also, are you guys hoping that there'll eventually be more stories in different areas of Cell in the future? Because we know there's at least one other area besides the Rose Empire and the area with Elantris. You interested in that at all?
I mean, sure, more lore.
How many places wear the red, like, armor?
The red armor's from Fjordell.
Right. Okay.
They're the Bone People. Also, considering, as I mentioned, there's going to be, I think, at least 2 other Elantris books. Are you interested in those, or are you not that interested in the future Elantris books?
Depends how it's made.
Depending on what the plot is.
Yeah, like, if it's, like, next generation type of shit, I'll be like, alright, I guess.
What do you think, Mythic? Are you interested in any future Elantris books, or not really?
Elantris is boring as shit.
Well, it's a good thing we're moving on to the Scadrian system next then.
We are.
Yes, 2 short stories of the Scadrian system. I've already posted in the chat which ones we're doing, but first I'm going to live read the Scadrian system essay, and I've also reposted the star chart for you guys if you want to look at that. So the inner system here is basically empty, save for the planet Scadrial, which is fortuitous considering the vast changes the system has undergone because of the influence of its shards. The remarkable thing about Scadrial is how well humankind has flourished on it, despite these repeated cataclysms. Surely other planets in the Cosmere have seen worse disasters, but none of them will you find a thriving, technologically advanced society as exists on Scadrial. Indeed, I am convinced that without the Lord Ruler's oppression of technology on the planet for 1,000 years, Scadrial would have eclipsed all others in scientific learning and progress, all on its own, without the interaction between societies we enjoy in Silverlight. Scadrial, although another dishardic planet, is characterized by a host of unique features. It is one of only 2 places in the Cosmere where humankind does not predate the arrival of shards. Indeed, I am convinced from my studies that the planet itself did not exist before its shards, ruin and preservation, arrived in the system. They picked a star with no relevant planets in orbit, specifically choosing this location because it was empty, so they could place there whatever they wished. Yes, the shards undoubtedly used humans from Yolan as a model. Indeed, both of the vessels for these shards were human before their ascensions, in creating life. Because of this, the flora and fauna on Scadrial are very similar to what you'll find on Yolan. The non-famed parts, of course. It is also very similar to Yolan in size and gravitation, both being exactly at 1.0 Cosmere standard. Though the shards created this planet together, it quickly became the symbol of and prize in their conflict. To speak on the personalities of the vessels themselves, it is not my field of expertise. Better to approach one of my colleagues who specializes in pre-shattering biography and history, rather than an arcanist. I can say, however, that their conflict is manifested directly in the ways that investiture is used on Scadrial. This is a powerful magic, and one where humans themselves have often had access to grand bursts of strength. I would challenge one to identify another planet, save only Roshar, where one can find such strength of investiture, so commonly in the hands of mortals. Periodically, throughout Scadrial's history, a man or woman gained access to vast amounts of power, with incredible effects. The most obvious evidence of this is the fact that the star charts Dune had so kindly provided list 2 orbits for Scadrial. The planet was literally moved at various points by individuals wielding immense amounts of investiture. As an aside, this has wreaked havoc with trying to understand historical calendars on the planet. I have written much about the magics of this planet. Indeed, I could fill entire volumes with my thoughts on allomancy, feruchemy, and hemalurgy. I maintain, however, that the one of these with the largest potential impact on the Cosmere is hemalurgy. Usable by anyone with the right knowledge, this dangerous creation has proven able to warp souls regardless of planet or investiture, creating false connections that no shard designed or intended. Though the planetary system is rather boring, Scadrial itself has proven intriguing time and time again. This is despite the fact that humans used to live on a relatively small portion of the planet, a fact that began to change once the extreme environments of the Final Empire were removed. From the adaptations, both forced and unforced, of the humans living on her, to the vast transformations of landscape during her different eras, Scadrial remains my favorite planet for scholarly study in the Cosmere. The interactions of her magics with natural physics and multitude varied and fascinating. What do you think of the fact that Scadrial would be the most technologically advanced civilization if not for the Lord Ruler?
Well, makes sense considering where we know it's headed.
It also gives you a bit of insight into where any other technology may be in other worlds, although
Yeah.
not fully, because they could be past where Scadrial is currently, but that's only because of the Lord Ruler. Did you have any thoughts about that, Mythic?
Like Darkness said, it makes sense. Lord Ruler did a lot of, a lot of shit. So he's a very smart person due to his past dealings.
What did you guys also think about the fact that Ruin and Preservation created their planet and the humans on it?
I didn't know how far back they were on that planet. I assumed they were like natural forces in general, but I didn't know like I figured they were like I figured the planet was there before them. So it's kind of weird to picture them that like they're the ones.
Yeah, it also says specifically they chose this solar system. So like the shards apparently could have gone anywhere in the universe. And they chose this solar system specifically to create their own planet.
Well, they do have a presence, right?
What do you mean by they have a presence?
Like a you know how they're built of like 3 different things.
Oh, the physical, cognitive, and spiritual. Yep.
Mm-hmm. I'm assuming the cognitive took part of like where they're gonna like go.
Hmm.
They know they need like a star for life, so pick the best one for what they want.
Yeah.
Do you have any extra thoughts about them creating the planet and choosing their solar system, Mythic? Like, did you think that they had been able to choose where to go, or
I mean, they're gods, so
they're
whatever
shards
the-
of a god?
they're gods.
Um,
Is this like shards from different gods or like shards from one big god that we
they are
just
shards of
have
Adonasium.
different
That's what we got from
aspects?
the Celish essay.
Mhm.
So it's just all one big like
They're all
thing.
shards of Adonasium. Devotion, Dominion, Endowment, Preservation, Ruin. Those
It's
are all...
like different. It's like split personalities of one big like cosmic being.
How many shards do you think there are?
Billion.
Well, there's if let's say we're going with that theory, there's gonna be as many shards as like wait
You guys should know the number.
16.
Yeah.
There's
Is it
16
six? Yeah,
shards.
16.
16 shards because 16 pieces of metal, but then technically there's 18 metals.
No,
I
but
don't
like 16 is the one number that
Well, because
keeps
if
getting
if you
mentioned.
remember
Yeah,
from the Hero
I
of
know.
Ages epigraphs, Say's Harmony says that preservation used the number 16 not just because it was important for Scadro, but because it was important in the universe.
Yeah.
It had greater meaning.
Mhm.
There are 16 shards. You guys now know 5 of them.
There's 16 gods.
16 shards.
16 shards of Adonasium.
Yeah, but like each shard doesn't like correspond to a god.
Yeah,
Sure.
basically. They're a shard of Adonasium. So yeah, Preservation, Ruin, Devotion, Dominion, and Endowment. Those are the 5 you've met.
We've met them?
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, like, you've
But
been
I
to the
literally shook
planet.
their hand.
Where's Harmony?
Harmony is Preservation and Ruin together, so technically there's 15 now.
Yeah. So now there's not.
so, so, so like
Not
as
16.
there are like 16 metals, and then there's the fusions of like some metals that we still don't know. That's how like some gods are.
Pretty much.
My next question was, what do you think about the fact that the shards created humans based on humans from Yolan? So they kind of imply here how humans are from a planet called Yolan, and apparently the humans on Scadrial are not Yolan-based humans. They are like created in the image of Yolan-based humans.
The better ones like us.
So I believe every other planet with human, their descendants are from Yolan. So everyone from Elantris, everyone from Warbreaker, all Yolan ancestry. Way back, way back.
They don't feel that different though.
Well, they're not, because they made them to be like the same
In
pretty
the
much.
image. Yeah,
Yeah.
in the image.
So it
Just like
doesn't
we are
matter.
Image of gods.
I believe Brennan has also said that Yolan is the most Earth-based, Earth-like planet. So like when they say that there's similar flora and fauna to Yolan, it means there's basically like they have similar plants and animals to what we would consider normal in real life.
Oh, you mean this isn't real life? Damn. Was hoping I could become an Elantrian.
I know, right?
It'd be boring for the rest
Hold
of my
on, I
life.
forgot my metal mines. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I mean, I already am an ATM missing, so gotta collect everything.
Also, what do you guys think about pre-shattering? Because the person writing these epigraphs kind of says, or these essays kind of says, like, I wouldn't know much about the original vessels of the shards, ruin, and preservation. You'd have to ask someone about who specializes in like pre-shattering history.
But I'm assuming that's like before the shards of Adonasium or whatever
Mm-hmm.
get like
And it was just the one god,
ejected, I guess.
the one all-powerful god.
It's me. No, I'm just-
Oh, so
it's just like
so this goes by one god system. Got it.
Now it's 16 or 15.
Well,
so.
no,
Is this you confirming the
one
theory
large
that I
god.
had,
Just
or
one large god with 16 shards of it.
So yeah, so what you guys know so far, basically what you can get from this information is there was a single god named Adonasium. We don't know if there's anyone else out there, but all of the gods that we are focusing on, that all these books are focusing on, are shards of Adonasium.
Mm-hmm.
Adonasium was shattered.
Gotcha.
You don't know how or why or when.
There was a big war with a bunch of other gods, and they lost.
They also specify specifically that both of the original vessels of Ruin and Preservation were human, which does imply that some shards might not have been humans, the vessels.
Interesting. Now we have aliens, monsters. Awesome.
Well, technically, aren't they all?
Are they all human?
I was gonna say aliens, but
They're all
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I guess the
Technically,
humans from
compared to
Scadrial
us, I
aren't
guess, yeah.
technically aliens because they were born on
Yeah,
that
they're all
planet.
aliens. Yeah,
They're
all
the only
aliens.
non-aliens.
but they're gonna get to become aliens pretty soon anyway.
Yeah, they might once they get some rocket
Once
ship
they go vroom
technology,
vroom in space, yeah.
Space.
or if they figured out how to travel like Hoyd does.
Have you ever noticed like Star Trek and all that shit? Where, like they don't claim that they themselves are aliens.
I have not
Always
noticed
everyone
that.
else.
Everything else around us is
Yeah.
everything is aliens except them.
Like, no,
Even though
once
they're
you're
the one
off your
going to other
planet,
people's
you are
planets.
the alien.
Yeah.
If I ever get to leave the planet, I'm gluing like green antennas onto my head.
Oh my god! You gonna paint yourself green too?
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
Unfortunately, I'm not the right size, so that would be Midnight's job.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
totally. Yeah, because they have to be little green aliens. Yeah.
Wow. So I have two more questions. First of all, what do you think about how readily available the magic is on Scadrial compared to other planets, excluding Roshar, apparently? So they say that Scadrial has one of the most easily accessible magic systems, excluding Roshar. And for your reference, Roshar is the planet that Stormlight Archive takes place on.
It's kind of well.
Is it Starlight Archive the one that you were saying we're gonna have a bunch of fucking people who are depressed and
Oh yeah,
all this other shit? Oh, okay, great. Yeah.
A
I
bunch
love
of people
Stormlight
who what?
Archive. Depression. It's depression time.
Oh,
There's the sad boy, everyone's favorite sad
great.
boy.
Anyway, well, it makes sense because hemalurgy is kind of made for that, right?
So yeah, that was actually goes into my next question, which is basically what do you think about the implications of hemalurgy on the rest of the Cosmere? Because they basically say that anyone with basically any magic system could use
Oh my god!
hemalurgy.
What if you stab someone with a
Look
different
for-
magic system and you take
Hemalurgic
their shit
force.
with hemalurgy?
Yeah.
I think as long as you know the right places, like you could probably steal breaths from people.
Oh
you
my
could
god!
steal
I'm gonna
Elantrian
carry metal
powers.
spikes everywhere I go now. Not you just see me on the news with like metal spikes everywhere. Oh no.
Yeah, do you think in like future books where there's more crossover, do you think we're gonna start seeing like people hemalurgically taking powers from other planets
Yeah, especially in the tournament, you know,
in the tournament? What do you think, Mythic?
the cosmic war.
I think about what? Sorry.
About the implications of hemalurgy and the rest of the Cosmere. Like, do you think we're gonna be seeing in future books where there's like farther in the future, like in the like Cosmere's future, like people with like taking other powers hemalurgically, not just like
Yes.
Scadrial powers?
100%.
All right.
100%.
That was all my questions about the Scadrian system. So yeah, next time we are reading all of the 11th Metal, and then we are reading, starting on Mistborn's Secret History, we're reading all the way through to Part 2, Chapter 2, because what's really annoying is they restart the chapter numbers every part. So we're reading 2 chapters of Part 1 and 2 chapters of Part 2.
Sure.
Because I don't know why it works that way instead of being 1, 2, and then Part 2 is chapters 3 and 4. But yeah, so we're reading 4 chapters of Secret History, and all of the 11th Metal, and I've got the time codes in there for Mythic to skip over Alamancer Jack. So make sure you don't read Alamancer Jack, Darkness.
Okay. Read only Elementary Jack.
No.
Got it. Yeah. Good idea.
Yeah, you guys excited for some more Scadrial?
Who the fuck is Skidro?
It's the fucking planet. Stop being an asshole. You know what
Alright,
Scadrial
where's-
is.
The Scadrial. What the fuck? Scadrial?
I don't know what she's talking about
The
either. bro.
Scadrial?
I don't
I
know.
call it Scadrial.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I just assumed Ska were from Scadrial.
Skidream.
Yeah. So I think Mistborn Secret History is one of the. It's a really good story. It's got a lot more like Cosmere lore in it. So you guys will enjoy that.
Mhm.
Disgusting.
So yeah, so that is the end of the podcast this week. It was a bit shorter, and we'll hopefully have you around for the next episode. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.